Hello, everyone. I'm M. Thank you for attending the Power Summit. It was a wonderful occasion. We feel like we launched out the way we wanted to launch out. And Dustin and I are going to be providing you with some added support for the homework that you've been given. We want you to make sure you commit yourself to the journey of owning your power and doing what you need to do with it in order to transform the conditions in your life. So Dustin, kick us off.
So Mahdi, we spent a lot of time talking about how we pretend, and we gave all the participants in the first Power Summit a homework assignment to go and observe, to journal around how they see themselves pretend. And so the question I want to ask you, and I want our participants to really hear your answer to, is why is it important for us to really look at the ways in which we pretend on our journey to becoming our most powerful selves again?
Well, I try to get to it as quick as possible. Our number one priority as a human being, in other words, our number one priority as a part of our life purpose is to accurately represent our authentic self. So the universe is holding us accountable to accurately representing what we feel, think, desire from life. In order for us to make progress, we have to accurately represent ourselves. When we start misrepresenting ourselves, we not only fall out of rhythm with our true divine nature, but we fall behind our own purpose and our own rhythm, right? So just think of pretending as if I asked a group of people, how many of you want to be lied to? I promise you, no one in the audience is going to raise their hand. But every time we pretend is how we lie to people without saying that we're lying. Because we're not demonstrating our truth. We're leaving our truth behind to present to them something that we think is more editable or more acceptable because we believe who we are is not enough.
And so, Mahdi, just for our listeners, our participants to really understand what we mean by pretend, what's an example of how you pretended in your life?
Or in my life, here's one of the ways I would pretend, and I'm gonna get very detailed because I've been on this journey with myself for a while. Is that, let's say I was in a situation where I was with other leaders and a subject matter came up, and I didn't know anything about it, but I felt I'm gonna look unimportant with all these other leaders if I don't say I know it. So I would pretend like I knew it when I didn't know it. Now, what that did is created some problems for me because when the natural life examination came for me to prove that I knew what I said I knew, I wasn't able to prove what I said I knew, right? Then that would cause me to pretend even more. So I would not show up to whenever the test would be, whatever the test may be in life, not show up because I don't want to be exposed that I wasn't really being truthful about what I said I knew that I didn't know, rather than just saying I don't know, and then taking the steps to find out. So every time we pretend, we literally are holding ourselves back.
Mahdi, you and I had a conversation yesterday, and I uncovered one of the ways in which I pretend. And this happens in my intimate relationship with my partner. And one of the ways I pretended over the course of my life was that pretending I was unlovable. And by pretending I was unlovable, I saw myself, and I still see myself, finding fault in my partner instead of focus on what's beautiful. And as I find fault, that allows me to escape and pretend that I'm unlovable and escape being in loving situations. As we talked about this yesterday, and I really sat with that, conversation that we had, really, really hit me how much I've been pretending that I'm unlovable. And by pretending that I'm unlovable, I act out in ways that kind of verify that old belief of being unlovable. That's really feeling the cost.
Yeah, that's deep, because the average person will hear you say you pretend to not be lovable and say, well, that's because a lot of people can resonate with that as a truth. Because I know at one point in time, I pretended to not be lovable. But when you started pretending, I know when I started pretending that, it didn't occur to me as a pretend. It occurred to me as a reality, but then I discovered that it was a core lie,
right,
that I bought into, that led me to pretending just like it led you to pretending. So we show up, demonstrating something other than what the truth about ourselves, which is a good example.
Right.
of, you know, the damage pretending does and what pretending is.
Right. Because the truth, the essence, we are all infinitely lovable. But somehow I took on this belief system, this program of being unlovable. And so I started to act that out as if that was real, but it's really pretend. It's not real at all.
Right.
And so Madi, let me ask you this question. As our participants go and really look at the ways in which they see themselves pretending, what do they need to be mindful of as they do this observation? You know, there's a tendency when we uncover these dynamics that we will beat ourselves up and do counterproductive things.
I would think the thing that you want to look out for is the fact that there's a place that you really want to be, right? And that is in harmony with yourself. That is to be able to enjoy who you are. Now, you with yourself 24 hours a day, so you're observing yourself. And what you're doing by every time you pretend, you are demonstrating to yourself that you can't trust yourself. You know, because yourself is watching you. It's like, oh, so I can't trust you to go, you know, accurately represent who you are to these people, these set of people. So you're developing a relationship with yourself. More than you're developing a relationship with other people, you're developing a relationship with yourself that will determine how much of yourself you can bring out. Remember, I said in the Power Summit that it's about more of you, not less of you. The answer is always more of you. So pretending is always less of you, no matter how you try to whitewash it or blackwash it or whatever you want to put on it. You know, when you pretend, you're not being you, so you're being less of you. Being authentic is how you bring more of you to the table.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you for asking the question.
Yes, yes. And to all of you who are listening, continue to do your observation around the different ways you see yourself pretend. Journal, write those down. And when we come back together for our second session, we'll dive deep into this and we'll continue the journey of us getting back into our power. We love you. We thank you.
Peace. Thank you. Peace.